Welcome back to Blizzard Abroad. Have you ever noticed how some men always seem to find themselves in bad situations? They're always being manipulated. They're always being used, always being hurt in some way, somehow. Some men seem to make the same mistakes over and over again. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about 5 reasons why some men will always be victims. And I also want to talk about, some ways that we can avoid from being victims, letting ourselves be victims. So number one is they're desperate. They're desperate for companionship. When we act out of desperation, we leave ourselves open and vulnerable. We tend to ignore red flags. So I'll be honest. I live in America. I understand what's going on here. I understand the frustrations that a lot of men have. And I also understand the loneliness that exists in America. We don't talk about it enough. But a lot of us, especially the older guys that, are getting up in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, we're lonely. I'm just being honest. Most of us that are in this space, we've been through things in the past. We've had kids, and our kids are grown and out the house. We may have been, had good relationships in the past, but now we're divorced. If we're single, we're working. Some of us are working 2 jobs. Some of us are single parents. And it's lonely, and nobody talks about this in America. Loneliness does affect our health. It does affect our mental health. It does affect our physical health. It does not get talked about enough. But this loneliness epidemic in America, is one of the factors that drives the desperation. The thing about it is that desperation will be used to exploit you if you let it. The scammers, the people that are looking to take advantage of you, they know you're lonely and they'll play on it. So we have to be very careful, and really, process our own intentions, before we act, so we're not acting out of desperation and being taken advantage of. Number 2 is being naive, and just uneducated and inexperienced. You can't know that you're being scammed if you don't know anything about being scammed. I mean, some people don't know how to read red flags, and some people just honestly just haven't been through shit in life. I know some people my age that really have never struggled, have never been through anything, So for a person like that, they don't know how to recognize the scams, But the good news is that we live in an information age. We live in an information age where we constantly have a device. Some of us have more than one. We have these devices, these computers that, at the push of a button, we can learn about almost anything. So I don't think the problem is that the knowledge isn't out there. With a lot of men, the problem is being able to accept the knowledge when it's being given to them. Because honestly, we're hard-headed, and a lot of us need to bang our heads a couple of times before we learn. So, and the knowledge is there, and it's up to you to decide that you want to seek it out. And then when you do seek it out, it's up to you to decide if you want to abide by it or to even accept it at all. Because I can't count the number of times that I have seen an experienced person, receive pushback from somebody that knows nothing about the subject that person is talking about. We see it over and over again, especially online and on social media. So that's number 2. The knowledge is out there. You know, honestly, there's no excuse, especially if, you're venturing into, a new realm, you know, you're seeking to broaden your horizons, do the knowledge first, man. Do your research, and listen. Open up your damn ears. Stop being so hard headed. That's number two. And number three is they make emotional decisions. You know, they let their emotions dictate their actions. And I know we hear this a lot um, in the manosphere, in the red pill, that men are logical thinkers and we think things through. Men aren't emotional. And that's, to be frank, that's bullshit. You know, I believe that men are more emotional than women. And it's just my opinion. You know, it's the difference is if we can control that emotion or not. You know, men start wars. Men fight wars, over some petty ass shit if you go back in history and look at it. You know, believe me, I've seen some things in my personal life, man. I've seen all out gang wars that started off over somebody stepping on somebody's shoe. You know, that has happened, and that's reality. Men are emotional. And if we don't learn how to control those emotions, yes, it could be a spot that we leave open, to be taken advantage of. People, once they learn how to push your buttons, you're exploitable. If I say this thing, I can make this person do that instantly. Now I can play him and make him do things that he doesn't even understand that are serving in my best interest. You're being used if you don't think logically. And you have to work on it. It's not inherent in men, you know, to just naturally be logical thinkers. We need to slow ourselves down at times. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, do the breathing exercise, nothing like that. You have to figure out your own way to do it. I figured out mine, which is to just constantly be on point and constantly checking myself, constantly. I know people say it's BS, that we're biased towards ourselves, but no, you need to constantly be checking yourself, checking your motives, checking your temper, checking everything, man. Like, I know not to go anywhere near certain people, because they'll trigger me. So I do the best I can to stay away from certain people and people with certain personality types. That's one way that, I avoid those situations. So number four is, they lack boundaries. They lack boundaries and standards. And I made a video about this a while ago, and it's absolutely true. And I think the lack of boundaries and setting standards, it goes deep. It goes deep with men because for for most of us, we've been told that we shouldn't have standards. We should just work hard, do our jobs, take care of our families, and accept what the world gives us. And that's not me complaining, but a lot of us are raised that way. And then if we want more or if we value ourselves more, we're looked at as feminine, sassy. But I'm like, let's be real. There's nothing wrong with valuing yourself. We hear about this table talk all the time. What do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? And honestly, I know what I bring to the table. You need to figure out what you bring to the table and who you want or who you allow to sit at that table with you. For me, the provisions, the protections, the resources that I bring to the table will not be consumed by somebody that does not earn them. And what you bring to the table is not always monetary. If I had a partner, she doesn't need to bring to the table the same thing that I bring to the table because then what would we need each other for? I may need her to bring, spiritual support, emotional support, you know, things like that. And vice versa. It doesn't have to be a specific role. So whatever role works for you, just know your value. I can guarantee you right now, there's somebody watching this that's sitting at that, hypothetical table with somebody that doesn't deserve to be eaten off of their plate. It's just facts. And I'm not trying to diss anybody, but it's just facts. Because we as men seem to always want to make ourselves less than. We always try to dumb ourselves down and make it seem like we're so easy to please when we're not. We're complex minds, individuals, people. We have wants, needs, desires. We're not easy. So we need to stop saying that, because once we dumb ourselves down, we let people who may not have our best interests in mind, into our circles. We let our guards down repeatedly, and that's the reason why some men get used, abused, and tossed to the damn side, because they don't value yourself. You set your own value, and whoever doesn't agree with it, whoever doesn't earn a right to be in your presence, like I said, either by pouring into you as you pour into them, reciprocation, they don't need to be in your life. That's just my opinion, you know. So set boundaries, set standards, and stick by them. Number five, I'm sorry. Number five is a big one. It's lack of sexual discipline. This gets a lot of men in trouble. Now, when I think of this, I think of the millionaire, the end of last year. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that. The millionaire who went to Colombia and got murdered. I'm just going to say it. On his first day in the country. Because he wanted to interact sexually with a person that he probably shouldn't have been. Questionable character. So it's a stark reminder, man. The things that we allow, or the positions that we place ourselves in the pursuit of sex. And for me, I love sex just as much as any man. I've had my problems with it in the past. It's ruined relationships for me, because infidelity, I've worked on it. I'm a better person now. And I don't base any major decisions off of whether it's going to be sex involved in it. So what we see now, honestly, I'm not going to lie, we see a lot of men, picking up, packing up, moving halfway across the world, in pursuit of sex. It's a dangerous game. And I think that most of the men that gets quote unquote scammed, unalived, or put themselves in situations like that, if we really look at it and look at the people that they were dealing with and look at their motivations, we're going to find that, they lacked sexual discipline. I'm saying that. I don't care. I'm probably going to get pushback on it, but I don't care. So we need to be like, it doesn't make any sense to me, guys. I'm sorry I'm stammering, but this is how I make my videos. I just put the camera on and I talk, but we need to be able to curb our sexual desires, those urges, because when we're acting off of those urges alone, again, we leave ourselves vulnerable for exploitation. Let me know what you think about these 5 things. Did I leave something out? Did I not? Did I leave some tips out that I could have included? Or should have been 6? Let me know in the comment section, man. I like to get a conversation started, so we can have a back and forth and we can build. We can teach each other and more people. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time,